The evening of May 14th started like any normal day in Fredericksburg, Virginia. The streets were calm, school buses were beginning their routes home, and parents waited outside their houses for their children to return from school. Kids laughed while walking down sidewalks, backpacks bouncing on their shoulders, completely unaware that someone was already watching them from nearby. Someone strange. Someone silent. Someone hiding behind a costume. And within the next few minutes, this peaceful neighborhood would turn into the center of one of America's creepiest recent incidents. It was around 4:30 p.m. when residents near Lafayette Boulevard first noticed the figure standing close to the intersection. At first, nobody thought much of it. Some assumed it was just a person wearing a mascot outfit for fun. But the longer people looked at the figure, the more disturbing it became. The person was dressed in a bizarre pink animal costume that looked similar to the cartoon character, the Pink Panther. But this wasn't funny. And it definitely wasn't normal. Over the pink costume, the figure wore a red and black plaid shirt, cowboy boots, and a small bag hanging from the neck. But what truly terrified witnesses was the way the figure stared at children. Completely silent. Completely motionless. No waving. No smiling. Just staring. One local mother later explained that the figure stood across the street watching several children without speaking a single word. Her instincts immediately told her something was wrong. So she took out her phone and snapped a picture. She later said the entire situation felt unnatural, almost calculated. The figure would slowly move closer toward children, then suddenly stop again whenever cars passed nearby. As if the person was waiting for the perfect moment. Then came the moment that changed everything. School buses finally arrived. Traffic slowed down as children stepped off one by one. Some crossed the road. Others began walking toward nearby houses. Parents watched casually from porches and driveways. Until suddenly, the pink figure started moving. Witnesses say the suspect crossed Lafayette Boulevard using the stopped traffic as cover. And then, the figure allegedly began chasing children. Panic exploded instantly. Several children screamed and started running. One witness later claimed the suspect appeared to target the smallest girl in the group because she was slower than the others. The terrifying figure in the pink costume got closer and closer while the children cried in fear. Then, in a split second, one of the older sisters grabbed the younger child and pulled her away just before the suspect could reach her. Neighbors later described the scene as absolute chaos. Children screaming. Parents running outside. People yelling across the street. And in the middle of it all, that silent pink figure chasing terrified kids in broad daylight. But then something unexpected happened. A passing vehicle drove toward the area during the chase. And according to witnesses, the suspect suddenly stopped. The figure turned around almost immediately, and ran away. Just like that. Gone. Within seconds, the mysterious stalker disappeared from the neighborhood. Residents searched nearby streets. Nearby corners. Behind houses. But nobody could find him. It was almost as if the person had vanished into thin air. As news spread throughout Fredericksburg, fear quickly took over social media. Photos of the strange pink figure flooded Facebook groups and local community pages. Terrified parents warned each other to never let children walk alone after school. Some people believed the costume was designed to appear harmless, making children less afraid to approach. Others believed it was simply a disguise used to hide identity while creating confusion among witnesses. But the deeper the investigation went, the creepier the story became. Several children later claimed they noticed a small opening near one eye of the costume. And through that opening, they briefly saw part of the suspect's real face. One child described seeing facial hair. Another said the person appeared to be an adult man. That detail changed everything. Suddenly, this was no longer some strange prank involving a costume. People began imagining something far darker. A grown man, possibly hunting children, while hiding inside a pink mascot suit. Police later confirmed they were investigating reports involving a suspicious person following children near Lafayette Boulevard. Authorities increased patrols throughout the area and urged residents to remain alert. But despite the growing attention online, the biggest question still remained unanswered. Why the costume? Why dress like a cartoon character? Why appear in broad daylight near school buses? Some investigators believed the suspect wanted children to feel less threatened. Others believed the bizarre appearance was meant to create confusion and fear. But one theory disturbed people more than anything else. The possibility that the suspect actually enjoyed terrifying people. That possibility transformed the entire case into something that felt less like reality, and more like a psychological horror film. Because this attack didn't happen in some dark alley, or deep inside an abandoned building. It happened in broad daylight. Near homes. Near families. Near school buses. And that level of boldness terrified the community. Many residents wondered whether this suspect had done something similar before. Or worse. Whether he was still somewhere nearby, simply without the costume. Days later, the image of the pink figure continued spreading across the internet. Horror channels discussed theories. Parents shared safety warnings. And people across America became disturbed by the same terrifying image. A silent predator. Hidden inside a childish pink costume. Watching children from across the street. And even today, many residents in Fredericksburg still wonder one horrifying thing. Was the Pink Panther Stalker ever truly caught? Or is he still out there, waiting for another opportunity to appear again? And as the sun disappeared over Fredericksburg that night, the streets slowly became quiet again. Police patrols continued driving through the neighborhood. Parents double-checked their locks. And children who normally played outside after school stayed inside their homes, too afraid to even walk near the bus stop anymore. But somewhere beyond those quiet streets, one terrifying thought still haunted the community. The suspect was never immediately found. No dramatic arrest. No clear answers. Just a disturbing image burned into the minds of everyone who saw it. A silent figure in a pink costume, standing motionless near children, before suddenly chasing them in broad daylight. For many people, the scariest part wasn't the costume itself. It was the possibility that underneath that mask was someone completely normal looking. Someone who could remove the disguise, blend into a crowd, and disappear forever. And maybe that's what makes this story so terrifying. Because real horror doesn't always hide in abandoned buildings or dark forests. Sometimes it stands right across the street, watching silently, waiting patiently, until the perfect moment arrives. Even now, residents in Fredericksburg still remember the fear that spread through the neighborhood that day. The screams, the panic, the children running for their lives, and the image of that pink figure disappearing down the road before anyone could stop him. A costume that should have looked harmless became the face of a real-life nightmare. And somewhere out there, nobody truly knows who was behind that mask. Maybe it was a disturbed individual trying to scare children. Maybe it was someone planning something even worse. Or maybe, the scariest part of all, is that we may never know the full truth. So the next time you see something strange standing quietly at the corner of a street, watching, waiting, don't ignore that feeling in your gut. Because sometimes, the things that look ridiculous at first turn out to be the most dangerous. If you enjoyed this horror documentary and want more real terrifying cases from around the world, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Because we upload true horror stories, disturbing mysteries, and dark incidents regularly. And comment below. What do you think the Pink Panther Stalker was actually trying to do? Was it just a twisted prank? Or something much darker? And remember, not every monster hides in the dark. Some of them walk among us. In plain sight.